how mythology negatively impacted Greece. Religion is present in society with the sole purpose being to give peace, strength, and support to its believers and followers. Greek mythology is widely known for being a very interesting polytheistic religion due to its complex relationships between the gods, goddesses, and its thrilling epics. However, it is not as well known that Greek mythology did not provide the same support that other religions provided at the time, but rather negatively impacted Greece in many ways. First off, the social impact. The Greek men wanted to fight for Greece because they desired to be known as heroes, just like in the stories they grew up with, such as the heroes Odysseus and Heracles. The Odyssey is an epic that was written by the blind poet Homer, about a Greek general named Odysseus trying to get back to his wife and son from the Trojan Wars. It takes him many years because gods, monsters, and villains keep trying to kill him. Once he gets back home, he finds hundreds of suitors trying to marry his wife. Yes, that's a flower. Apparently Google doesn't know what his wife looks like with clothes on. He then does the natural heroic action of the time and slaughters them all. His wife eventually forgives him for being gone, and they live happily ever after. The Odyssey made being a hero more realistic, so more men strive to be like Odysseus by joining the army. Another famous Greek hero was Heracles, or Hercules, who was the really strong demigod son of Zeus. In the story, The Shield of Heracles, he basically goes on an adventure with his friend to defeat a guy who had challenged him. The story often speaks of his shield as being magical. In the center was fear worked in adamant unspeakable, staring backwards with eyes that glowed with fire. His mouth was full of teeth in a white row, fearful and daunting, and upon his grim brow hovered frightful strife, who will raise the throng of men. This made the story less believable, but still encouraged the idea of heroism, like the Odyssey. Today, people still seem to be fighting for their countries in order to be seen as heroes. These heroic myths caused an increase in soldiers. This is the part where you're like, yay, that's good, and I'm like, no. With more army comes more violence and economic hardships. For instance, in Sparta, one was not considered a soldier until they could stealthily kill a slave without being caught. So with more soldiers, there was more dying. Well, the slaves were the backbone of the Greek economy, so by killing more slaves, more free labor was going down the drain. The whole process became a cycle of violence, economic downfall, and an increase in their disrespect for slaves. Women were also influenced by Greek mythology and society. Women were said to be made by the gods and goddesses from stunning beauty, wealth, a deceptive heart, and a lying tongue. This description of women instilled a point of view in men that are much like stereotypes found today. The myth of how women were created encouraged the people of Greece to treat their women with more disrespect, along with the idea of patriarchy. In the Odyssey, the wife of Odysseus, Penelope, is objectified to the point of men staying at her house and trying to win her over. After waiting for many years for her husband to return, Penelope finally hosts a competition for the suitors, with the prize being herself. Many other myths didn't even mention women, but when they did, they were usually depicted as the common damsel in distress. Also, many Greek villains were women. One of the most famous was Medusa. She was characterized as having hair made of venomous snakes and eyes that could turn people to stone if looked into. This all because she fell in love with the god Poseidon, which betrayed a promise she had made to a goddess. This story made women seem more inferior, weaker, and less intelligent than Greek men through Medusa's inability to resist men. The portrayal of regular and villainous women in myths again caused Greek men to have a negative mindset towards women and eventually the persecution of women. Now on to the cultural impact. According to Greek myths, humans were created with only the ability to walk upright and to make fire, but the animals got all the better traits such as speed and strength. On top of that weakness, myths claim that Zeus ordered the humans to sacrifice a portion of every meal to the gods because he didn't like the humans. This ritual caused Greeks to feel inferior to the gods and goddesses in many ways, which caused the people to dislike their religion more. This went on to encourage the development of Christianity because the religion's main belief was that God created man in the image of himself, and they didn't have to sacrifice as many offerings. Myths often allowed storytellers to express their opinions and views towards different aspects of their lives, which was great until it led to the Greeks being too brash. Homer expressed Greece's pride toward their victory over Troy in the story of the Iliad by embellishing Greece's victory a little too much. It was then believed by the Greeks that Greece must be far superior compared to other civilizations because it was shown in their religious stories. This led to a carefree attitude which could have led to irrational decisions such as being too politically and economically ambitious. All of this caused a great deal of emotional distress and confusion amongst the people of Greece. Lastly, the impact on the interaction with the environment. As a polytheistic religion, the gods represented different features of nature, life, and morals. Because of this, Greek citizens were expected to respect their environment, which could be considered an advantage, until it was taken too far to the point of fear. In the Odyssey, when Odysseus' men ate the god Helios' cows despite warning from Odysseus, all the men were burnt to death as punishment. This story taught the people of Greece that they should respect their gods, goddesses, and surrounding environment. But by constantly being told that they must respect and praise nature, the Greeks developed a fear of accidentally harming the environment. Greek mythology also gave an explanation for the otherwise seemingly unexplainable natural events. For example, when the Greeks could not figure out why there was lightning in the sky, they reasoned that Zeus must have cast down lightning bolts as a way of punishing the mortals for their actions. Religious explanations served only to reinforce the Greeks' religious beliefs while slowing scientific work. Regardless of how beneficial the ancient mythology of Greece seemed, it plagued Greece and its people with problems. In addition to social problems such as varied feelings of self-assuredness about nearby civilizations and the gods in general, there was an encouraged sense of patriarchy in society caused by Greek mythology. This high religious presence also caused increased levels of violence in Sparta, high levels of stress, and a slowed amount of scientific progress. However, Greek mythology did eventually assist in the development of Christianity, which, after 2,000 years, is one of the most influential and prevalent religions in the history of the world.